Time for a tired old joke. How many psychologists does it take to change a light bulb? Just one. But the light bulb has to want to change first. Hi squad, welcome back, and dog bless you. I'd like to start today's discussion by saying that anyone who comments with "get to the point" is a dirty trash can full of poop. Not actually, but listen y'all, when you put something on the internet, it doesn't belong to you anymore. And it's there forever. Nuanced issues do require nuanced discussion though, so could I be a little bit more succinct? Probably. I'm a bit of a wordy hecker. It's a work in progress. But I'd rather take a little bit longer to explain something that is complicated than oversimplify it and risk being misinterpreted in a way that is then immortalized on the internet forever. Because, hoo boy, are there people out there who are looking to misinterpret things and then run with it. Oftentimes, getting to the point means cutting out a lot of details and context that are necessary when you're talking about certain subjects. And I get it. I too have gone on to tech support forums and been looking for information on how to fix something and been like, stop explaining to me how to fix the thing and just tell me how to fix the thing. You know what I mean? Most of us like to cut to the chase whenever it's an option. But sometimes it isn't. Sometimes it isn't. Sorry. This video is an important first step to more things that I would like to discuss on this channel. Consider it like a guide to interpretation. This video is about audience responsibility and solutions and some of the barriers therein. And listen, I promise this will be worth your while to stick with if you would like to have your while worthed. Because the thing with complex problems is that simple solutions don't really cut it. They're more like throwing a blanket over it rather than filling in the cracks that actually need to be sealed. Going back to the tech support analogy, the steps on how to get to the problem are part of how the problem gets solved. Problems that impact us on a massive social and global scale require multi-pronged solutions to actually solve, which means they also require a certain amount of personal investment and responsibility from each of us, even when the driving forces behind those problems aren't necessarily our fault. Which, before we continue, makes this a good place to talk about Wren, the sponsor of today's video. What time is it? Wren time. But seriously, y'all know by now how I feel about Wren. To catch up anyone new, Wren.co is a subscription service that allows you to take part in climate activism. Sign up is super quick and easy. You just answer some questions about your lifestyle and then make a monthly pledge that goes towards funding climate solutions. From conservation to technological advancements to policy changes that go after the big offenders. Now, Wren is fantastic for a number of reasons, but I personally love their transparency and the monthly updates that they send out. You know exactly how your money is being spent. They even give you a handy little breakdown. And actually seeing things get done is incredibly encouraging. Like, I don't know about you, but I've been needing that lately. It's nearly November in Northern Ontario, and earlier today I went for a hike in a t-shirt. When I was a kid, you used to have to design your Halloween costume with a snowsuit in mind. Wren has helped me feel more hopeful with the work they're doing. They've also sponsored my channel a few times now, as well as other creators that I know who are committed to progress and positive change. As an organization, Wren is conscious with their support and collaborative efforts. And I don't just mean where sponsorships are concerned. Wren centers human beings in the work they're doing in general, teaming up with people all over the world to help with clean energy, carbon removal, and conservation. You can take part in that effort, and you can offset your carbon footprint with Wren today by clicking the link down in my description to sign up. Plus, the first 100 people who sign up using that link down in the description will get their first month of the subscription covered by Wren for free. So you can check them out, see what they're all about, and all the great work that they're doing. Thank you so much to Wren for sponsoring this video, and for taking a stand for our planet. Now back to your regularly scheduled programming. Alright then. Let's do this. The more I do YouTube stuff, the more it reifies two things. The first is that having a platform of really any size is a privilege, and it's really important to be responsible with it. And the second is that no matter what you do, you will not be able to please everyone. You won't even be able to successfully communicate your ideas to all people, and you certainly won't be able to connect with every single person who comes across your content. I know this. Most creators that I have talked to know this, but I think it's really important that you know this as well. Because anything said to a group will be interpreted one way by one person and another way by another person, and they're both going to walk away from the same conversation with two completely different interpretations of what was said. Content creators can give you information. We can make arguments and offer explanations for certain topics, and we can provide a good space to consider these things and ask questions about them. We can control and should control how we put that information out there. What we can't control is how that information is then received. We also can't make anyone change their mind if they don't want to. Just talking about this creator and audience divide right now feels really weird to me because, and I cannot stress this enough, I am exactly like the vast majority of you currently watching this video. I just turned on a camera. That's really the only big difference between us. Now, I'm going to talk about parasociality and, for lack of a better description, let's call it social entertainment another time. For the purposes of this discussion, I think it's really important to stress that unless someone is specifically speaking on their area of expertise, they are speaking as a peer, not as an authority. It's important for those of us turning on our cameras to remember that, but it is equally as important for the people watching to keep it in mind as well. It's important for consumers of this particular kind of content to be aware of the fact that creators aren't blessed with divine knowledge and shouldn't be trusted if they claim to be. Most people are also offering only one perspective and are themselves also on a trajectory of hopefully growth. And it is vital to center the fact that no human being on the planet is capable of reflecting the experiences of every single other human being on the planet. My responsibility as a guy who turned on the camera is to listen to others, do my research, avoid causing harm, and own up and make amends if I ever do. I am responsible for conscious and considerate communication, and I would argue that other creators are as well. You are responsible for conscious and considerate interpretation. And I know that because 90% of my YouTubing is spent doing what you're doing right now and consuming other people's content. It is your responsibility to keep in mind that if creators don't mention a specific thing, there are often non-problematic reasons why that might be the case. They didn't think the topic was theirs to talk about. They realize they need to do more research. They'd like to bring in people with direct experience who can better speak on those topics. Or they originally did include it, but then realized that they were trying to cram way too many topics into one video and thought that it was beneficial both to the cohesiveness of the video and their own mental health to bench that particular thing for later discussion. Yes, that last one was personal. Now, this is not me excusing blatant disregard for important things. We're gonna talk about that pretty soon too. But the fact that I feel I need to specify that is a manifestation of the problem that I'm talking about today. Some of you really need to check your reactions. Like, it's an issue. There is not a single piece of media in existence that will be satisfying to every single consumer of it. Period. And it is on you to remember that. This section was inspired in part by some of the criticisms that I have received, but it is largely driven by the way I have seen some viewers speak to creators that I enjoy. The entitlement and combativeness that some people demonstrate just because they're on the other side of the screen is really outstanding. It ranges from take a second to ask yourself where your defensive feelings are coming from to pull your fucking head out of your ass, but it is a thing. The more you push people to communicate specifically in a way that caters to you, the less authenticity you are going to get from them. Something having cake and eating cake. I understand where at least some of this comes from, and I will talk about it, but not today. Because I'd be trying to cram too many topics into one video and think it would be beneficial for the cohesiveness of this video and my own mental health if I benched it for later discussion. Mwah. Good night, everybody. Just kidding, there's more. I wanted to prime y'all with audience responsibility for a number of reasons, but one of the major ones is because I think it would be helpful for a lot of us to recontextualize problem solving. So let's pause here for a beat, because I want to expand on the whole checking yourself theme and ask a question. When you watch videos like this one, is it because you want a solution or because you want to be mad about not getting one? I've seen a lot of complaints about speakers on the left criticizing problems without offering solutions, and I myself have brought this up as well. I definitely think it's a thing. It's a thing that's important to talk about. But the more I think about it, the more I realize it's not really that simple. I'm going to use manhood as an example because it's something that I've talked about a lot and one of the areas that I've been pressed to offer more solutions in. It was actually sitting down to write up a list of them that got me onto this whole topic in the first place. What are some solutions to male isolation and distress? Well, you could get your hands on a copy of The Will to Change, Men, Masculinity, and Love by Bell Hooks. Or maybe Mark Green's Remaking Manhood, which I have mentioned on this channel before. The problem with books is that I can sing their praises all day and night, but I can't make anyone go find copies of them, and I can't make anyone read them. Talking to the fellas for a moment, if I told you that these books could help you, or at the very least make you feel seen, would you read them, or nah? But maybe books aren't accessible, and maybe many of the people who are looking for solutions aren't necessarily ready for the themes that a lot of them discuss. After all, books about social issues assume a certain level of understanding and desire to address those social issues, not to mention a certain level of understanding of the language that is needed to even discuss them in the first place. So maybe peer support groups are a better solution. I have personally found them extremely helpful when I'm feeling isolated. The internet also means that they can be accessed from the safety and comfort of your own home. But again, I could find them, I could list them, I could vet them, but actual attendance, ensuring that you show up, is on you. If only there was a place that was a little more accessible. A place with content that is readily and freely available. Content that was specifically structured to make complex topics easier to understand, particularly for people who may struggle to commit to books or social support groups that demand more investment than they're currently able to offer. If only. Hopefully you're picking up what I'm putting down here. When it comes to social issues, fixing them is not as simple as running diagnostics and pinpointing a specific problem that once resolved takes care of everything. When it comes to social issues, social solutions are necessary, which means they are multifaceted, ongoing, and a two-way street. And YouTube, really content creation in general, is really great for that because it provides a platform for teamwork and a multitude of voices. It means you have the opportunity to hear from people with different experiences than yours, people you might not fully identify with. And if that very idea is threatening or uncomfortable for you, I think it's really important that you unpack the reasons why. Because that in itself is a step towards the solutions that the vast majority of us are seeking. Recognizing other people's humanity and sincerely trying to understand their perspectives is how you separate good ideas from bad ideas. It's how you separate human beings from the things that they have been exposed to and taught. It's part of how you yourself get to discover just how much of your own behavior and thinking is learned, and therefore subject to change. You do have some agency over what that change looks like. Arguably a lot more than you realize. For those of you out here asking, why doesn't the left offer solutions? That's a fair question, but only up to a point. Fact of the matter is, the left have been offering solutions, primarily in leading by example, expanding your understanding of other human beings and capacity for empathy just by sharing our experiences, not to mention condensing a lot of the information that many of us have picked up through multidisciplinary studies over the years. A lot of us are doing our absolute best to plant solution seeds, but whether or not consumers of our content will then nurture them so that they actually grow into something worthwhile isn't really something that we can control. And it's all compounded by the fact that speakers on the other side have a much easier task. Pursuing progress and positive change is an uphill battle. Conversely, defending the status quo means that you just sit at base camp and say, this is it, this is all we need. Though some people do take it a step further and roll downhill toward regression. These are not solutions. They just feel like it because they come with security. They're already put in place. You know what you're getting. And they might not be perfect, but they're a lot more reassuring than a leap of faith towards the chance of something better. And this isn't just true of extreme examples. This thinking is what keeps a lot of moderates stagnant as well. It's not always the malicious, I've got mine, so fuck you and yours, or the system that keeps me on top is the best one and must be defended at all costs. It's often more complicated than that. An aversion to change that comes from the uncertainty of it all, and the discomfort of personal accountability over the fact that we could have been doing a lot more a lot sooner. If you think of yourself as a good person, and I think most of us do, admitting that you are not already part of the solution is in conflict with your self-image. It's much more in line with how you view yourself to accuse others of not offering solutions than it is to admit the fact that they made a pass and you dropped the ball. If this doesn't resonate with you, you're probably already on it, but if you're feeling defensive, stay for a moment, take a breath, and ask yourself why. Explaining that feeling away is a temporary fix because it will come back when you are confronted with this topic again. Whereas taking a moment now to acknowledge where it's coming from will give you the opportunity to focus on your own needs and areas that you might need to work on. For most of us, the first step toward real change is a sense of agency and power. What I am doing here is explaining one way that you can start to work toward that, because once you do, solutions become a lot more visible and a lot less intimidating. No one can make you change things that you don't want to change, or understand things that you don't want to understand. What I'm trying to do with this channel, what I think a lot of content creators are trying to do, is not the solution, but it is part of it, and it is a starting point. What I'm trying to encourage you to do is think about how you're feeling. Think about how you respond to information that you might not understand. Think about where your defensiveness comes from. To ask yourself if you are happy, fulfilled, and flourishing. And if not, what changes you could make that would help you get there. I'm trying to help more people understand their own agency and motives where social change is concerned. Complex problems require complex solutions. I can't just give you one. What I can do is encourage growth and extend a hand. And I hope I've done that here today. If you made it to the end of this, it means a lot that you gave me your time. Hopefully this made sense, and I will see you again. And as always, thanks for watching.